Jason, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for inviting me on. I've already had fun chatting with you, and we haven't even started yet.
Dude, I'm going to get right into this because this movie fucks me up for days. So thank you very much for fucking me up.
That's awesome. First off, you're welcome. But it's nice to hear. It's humbling. We weren't sure how it was going to hit for people. So
So I got to start off because I got a lot to say. While I was watching this film, I asked myself so many times, is this going to be a court case exhibit A? Because I honestly felt like somebody was getting killed in my living room.
yeah, well, that was it. Like we wanted to commit real hard to making it feel realistic. Like I love I love found footage. Like as a subgenre, it's one of my favorites. And this is not to say we're better than anybody. It's not that, but like sometimes they kind of break their own rules or like make it so you get taken out of it and you kind of lose that idea that like you shouldn't be watching this thing that you found. And we wanted to go back to something that was a little more believable, like Blair Witch Project, the original Blair Witch. Like,
Oh yeah,
certainly they laid the groundwork. They walked so we could run.
yeah. I was gonna say Blair Witch and a little bit of Elijah Wood's first person movie too.
Yeah, the Maniac. Yeah,
Like I felt like that was heavily influenced there.
actually, you kind of can't see it, but I got the original Maniac right there. You go.
Oh my
Just,
god.
yeah, that's definitely an influence as well.
And a little bit of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer too. Like
Same. We
it
kind
felt
of.
like it was like these three had a baby and out came Looky-Loo to me.
Yeah, I keep telling people, I'm like, if you've seen Henry when they're filming on the VHS camcorder, like imagine that being the whole movie. But we don't have no scenes of rape, sexual abuse, none of that stuff. But
Nah,
but the vibe is very similar.
because there was a couple of scenes that, especially the ones looking through the window, I started questioning myself as a human being because I'm like, do I feel a little pervertish here looking at this person through the window? But it's kind of my TV, so I'm like, I still
Yep.
feel kind of uneasy about it.
Yeah, well, especially like if you have your drapes open and somebody walks by and sees what you're watching, they're like, "What the hell?" But yeah, like we wanted to tap into the voyeur in all of us. Like, my fiance likes to like look into people's houses. Like she wants, like if there's an open house, she just wants to go walk around and look. And we also like this was important to Nolan. I'm speaking for my writer and buddy Nolan Myhale, but it was important for him that like we kind of shoved our thumbs in the eyes of like true crime junkies, which I am one.
Oh yeah,
So I'm making fun of myself too, but like we all get involved in these other people's lives. We observe, we digest like these people's stories, and sometimes we kind of lose the thread and we forget that like this is real people suffering, like these are real human beings. Meanwhile, we're just watching like Dahmer for entertainment or
pretty
whatever.
much.
So he thought like, well, okay, what if we kind of like put that on Front Street and like really make people see how this really looks, which is not a lot of fun. Like
Yeah,
this is not one of those shows. This is more like what it would really be like if this guy walked around and filmed himself looking through your stuff.
So where was this actually filmed? Because it felt like it was like a very very small town of like maybe 500 people. Because I didn't see any cars on the road. I didn't see like a police department or a firehouse. It felt like it was like in the middle of nowhere.
It's really not. It's just when you're walking around at the times of night that we were, and sometimes with the weather that we were walking around in, like people were just staying inside. Um, so like we'd be out at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes doing some of that stuff, and so there just wasn't as much traffic. But we never closed down roads or anything. I mean, some of the locations we chose were because they were a tiny bit off the beaten path, but we actually filmed almost everything in and around Lafayette and West Lafayette, Indiana, where I live, and West Lafayette's like a college town, so there's a lot of movement and stuff going on, but just the specific spots that we chose and the times that we chose to do it, we weren't bothered a whole lot.
Because it was like mid afternoon, sun shining, and I'm like, there's nobody walking around here. Because I thought you just picked like like a spot that nobody was really around because that it felt like it.
No, I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but I'm just picturing one where I'm walking during the day, and like it
Where
is
you're
during the
it was where
work
you're
week.
following the girl
Yeah,
in
that's what I
broad
thought,
daylight.
like under the bridge and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like that is it is kind of off the beaten path for the town. Like that's after you're like leaving the downtown area and going into these little burbs, these little neighborhoods. But yeah, it was also during the workday. So that we discovered a lot. We're like, man, if you ever wanted to break into somebody's house, like do it while everybody's at work. So yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Nobody does it in broad daylight, do they?
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, don't break in anybody's house.
I'll put a disclaimer. We do not condone
Yes, we do not.
this stuff.
Do not
Don't
do the things that the Looky-Loo guy does. Don't
do
do
not do not break into their house and make a sandwich. We don't do that.
no.
Don't watch their TV.
No, we actually there was a I don't remember exactly what the guy's name was or whatever, but there was this little true crime story that we heard. They said that it was like the thing Scream was based off of, the real true crime story, but never mind, not important. What is important is that the guy behind that, he said that he had broken into about 100 homes before he ever committed any murders. So we were like, well, that's terrifying. Like
No.
the murder's already terrifying, but the fact that he was like watching people sleep and they to this day do not know that that happened, there's something like really creepy about that. So we thought, okay, let's channel that in our movie.
Because the part that got me the most, and it was the kitchen scene with the box cutter.
Oh, yeah.
Because the sound effects alone made me get up off my couch and leave the room.
Yeah, Casey, our sound designer, is amazing, and like this is the first time he had ever scored a film, or well, not really scored. He sound designed the film, but he did do music for it too. But his sound design is amazing because he's so meticulous, and he actually is just a person from town that I had kind of known around, and but he does a lot of indie like production for bands, and he's been in bands for a long time, and he was just looking for like a film project to get involved with, and it just worked out perfectly. Now like we couldn't do this without him, you know.
Because the gargling afterwards, I'm like, yo, we need to pause this like right quick because that sound got my stomach turning.
The funny thing is we have behind the scenes of her recording that like in a sound booth, and like or it's not really a booth, it's like a sound room, but she just took a cup of water and just like gargled water in her mouth a bunch of times. So it's like not even, it's like so innocent, but like when you put it to the visuals, it fucks
I
up.
think it was the visuals plus the sound for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Because it takes a lot for me to get grossed out in a film. This is the first time I've actually had to stop something and then pause my mental status because I felt like an accessory here. And that was the problem for me because it felt like we were watching somebody just streaming live on Facebook, just going around to people's houses.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, good. You should
like,
feel guilty.
I should feel guilty because I'm a sick individual, damn it. So where did the premise for this come from? Did you guys just start, like just one day out of the blue, just just make a film and then all of a sudden veer really, really right?
Yeah, you're not too far off. We were planning on making a different movie over the summer, and we started testing cameras. We were going to do more like a horror comedy, like Evil Dead 2 style, and it was a play on like hashtag van life, like people living out of their vans.
Yeah.
And so we started testing cameras for low light, and I was walking around my own neighborhoods, my own town at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was already kind of creeping myself out doing that. But there was this time I walked down an alley, and as I was getting ready to leave the alley, somebody walked right past on the sidewalk. So when I turned, I wound up following them, and they had no idea that I was behind them filming them. And I creeped myself out, and I showed the footage to Nolan, my writer, and what I actually did was pitch him after that. Like it kind of wouldn't leave my brain. And I kind of pitched him the indie version of Elijah Wood's Maniac. And he misunderstood me and thought that it was a filmmaker, a guy documenting the world around him, and then he turns into a murderer. And he was kind of deflated because when he sent me that text back, I was like, oh, that's not what I was thinking. And then I sat on it for like 24 hours and I was like, actually, that's a way better idea. So the idea kind of came from neither of us and both of us at the same time. And we just kind of fell in love with it. And the rest is history, as they say.
Because it felt like it was a great nature documentary at first. You see the outside where the sun's shining, the grass, and you see like graffiti and stuff, and I'm like, this is cool. And all of a sudden, it just veers off the path, and I'm like, okay, I'm digging this because I love found footage stuff like Blair Witch, Paranormal Activities, the Cloverfield, the just all them, and it just felt like all these films turned into this film for me because we don't have a lot like this. And that's why I gravitated toward you and your writer, because you two feel like you guys feel like you guys are brewing a grand slam here.
Oh, thank you.
Like,
If you haven't found your way to it, there's a streaming app called Found TV that's really awesome. And so it's all found footage stuff, but they got a lot of cool stuff on there. And we're going to wind up on there too. I don't have a date set, but we just talked to them recently and they were great people. So we're excited to partner with them. But yeah, so if you're into found footage, check out Found TV.
because that's all. As real as it can get, give it to me.
Okay.
Because I want to question my life sometimes, because as I said, we don't have a lot of these films to go off of, and I saw people talking about your film, and I'm like, usually I'm not a word of mouth kind of guy because somebody could be doing this for this, but when one of my friends comes to me and be like, hey, you got to check this out, he hasn't steered me wrong yet, so came across you, sent you that email, and it was out. My brain was off to the races after that. So thank you for screwing up my sleep.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's cool. I mean, like, we don't know what this is all going to yield. It's still pretty early on, and we're not on any streaming platforms or for rent yet. It's just physical. But like the word of mouth and like kind of the grassroots thing has been interesting to watch happen. Like it's been fun, and like there's only a few people that have reached out for a screener where I was like, no, like I don't, this feels weird, or like they're trying to charge us money to write a review, and I'm like, no, I don't do that.
What?
Like, yeah, we've gotten a few of those, and like more power to people. If you got the money and whatever, go. You got to get your movie out there somehow, but it feels gross to me. So it's been nice to have just all these people watch it and then spread the word to their friends and all that stuff. So we hope that just keeps going,
Because we are actually going to shoot an episode and review Looky-Loo this week. So.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to go in depth in that, and then I'll tag you in that as well, because we're just trying to get more and more eyes on this, because we actually feel like this is a special project that actually deserves the eyes. Instead over all these other Hollywood flums that you can go back on my catalog and see all the stuff that I ripped apart and got critiqued for and everything else I've done.
Fair enough. Okay.
So I did check out your other film, Straight Edge Kegger.
Totally different vibe.
It's still fucking phenomenal though.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
Like, I love the movie The Green Room.
Yeah.
And it felt like The Green Room had a baby, and this movie came out. And I went straight on Tubi. I'm like, there's nothing else to watch, so I fired this up. And just seeing that movie and just seeing this movie, it just feels like you guys are on to something big.
Oh, thank you. Nolan, he wasn't there for Straight Edge Kegger. We actually met because of that movie, because he had written a screenplay about a gang of punks touring around the country. And so he saw Straight Edge Kegger and was like, I like this guy. We're both from the Midwest. Like, I'll reach out to him, and the rest, is our friendship partnership now. But he thinks that like we're kind of showing our range, all the movies I've made so far are pretty different from one another. So, as much as I love Looky-Loo, we have other things we want to do. We don't want to be in the Looky-Loo business forever, but we're really enjoying ourselves right now. It's challenging, but especially with how little we have, but we're having fun.
So how many sequels of Looky-Loo is going to be there?
So it all depends what people want. So here's the thing.
I want 4.
From the beginning, we wanted it to be a trilogy. that was the goal, and we knew how the arc was going to go. There's some stuff that we're still working on for part 3, but like we know how we want to end it and we know where we want to wind up with it. But we were like, we could easily extend this beyond the trilogy. You would just probably wind up with like copycat killers, you know? Other people who took inspiration from the Looky-Loo killer and want to copy his infamy or whatever. So sky is the limit. We have all sorts of cool ideas, but like right now we're still shooting this on our own dime and it's very low budget. So we're just kind of hoping that after part 1, you know, after it has some time to grow and people digest it, and then we're like, hey, surprise, we've already got part 2 and it's bigger and better. We're hoping that at that point somebody comes to us and actually says, hey, here's a budget to go make the 3rd one and beyond. You know, that.
Oh, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I can only imagine what you guys could do on a budget.
I know, right? Like we've trained ourselves well being super DIY. So,
but DIY is what works. And I if you were to give me a mainstream like horror movie right now, like if you like slid me like Hard Eyes before Hard Eyes was even a thing, and you gave me your film, I would pick your film over that one any time of the day. Because Hollywood basically lets me down. See?
Yeah.
And I have yet to find an independent film that has let me down.
Oh,
and
wow.
that's why I'm so independently doing this.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome because the indies need the support, man. Like I think it's weird. It's like it's getting easier to like release your films, but it's almost getting harder to get them seen because there's just so much getting released, and like we don't have the you know prints and advertising and stuff that all these big studios have. So it's like at a certain point you're like, man, like I spent years on this project, this was a passion, and like it's impossible for me to get eyes on it, you know. So, yeah.
So since you guys were filming so early in the morning and stuff, did like anybody ever just come over and just fuck with y'all? Like just screw up shots?
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, we got pretty lucky with this one, honestly. Like we had more issues when we were shooting Straight Edge Kegger, as weird as that is, but we did have a few things. One of the funnier ones was this place that we were filming. Actually, when you said watching the girl through the window, like while she's eating food on the couch.
Yeah.
In that shot, I'm standing in the driveway with the ski mask on, and I'm filming her through the window, and I didn't think about the neighbors on the other side of the driveway. They saw me through the kitchen window and started banging on the kitchen window. So then I'm lifting up my mask and turning around to be like, no, it's okay, like while I'm still filming. So the raw footage is really funny. And actually, even in that shot, I had to punch in a little bit and pan it over because you could see them in the reflection. So you can't see it in the finished film, but like, yeah, so we had some weird experience. I'm lucky that they didn't just shoot me or like call the cops on us. I ran right back inside after I was done with the shot, and I was like, Kelly, come over here. And like, we stood at the window and ate food together so they could see like, it's okay, we're friends, you know?
I know her. I'm just being a real creep. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. So we had some weird stuff like that. We had some people tell us that we couldn't film where we were at because we did it super guerrilla style. But for the most part, people were cool, or they just ignored us. Like it actually is kind of weird when I look back on it, like how many people probably drove by as I was just standing there filming through a window, and no cops ever showed up. Like
that was my thing. I'm like, they're doing this all kinds of days, and there's no cops roaming. There's nothing. And I'm like, I just gotta ask him, has he been in trouble or anything? Because he's just out in the open.
We did at least like, so, this is part 2. See, I'm mixing up part 2 and part 1, but at least in part 2, there are some scenes where like we knew we were going to be at a house for like an entire night, and I called the local police and said like, hey, this is the address, like I just want you to know we're shooting a film. And you know, so they actually came out to check with the homeowner before we got there, which was nice. I appreciated that. I was like, I'm glad that they checked up on us, because a crafty criminal, I guess, could call ahead and be like, it's just a film, and then they go rob somebody blind, I guess. But yeah,
that's wild. That somebody was like, hey, get away from there.
Yeah, I can't believe they didn't just call the cops. Like, I think that that's wild. Like, because if you think about it, they even like put themselves in harm's way. You know,
Yeah,
if I really was a creepy psycho,
they're next.
yeah, exactly. But it
they're
all worked out. Everybody's
they're
fine.
free range next.
Yeah,
I
everybody's fine. No worse for wear. We're all good.
because the entire film was shot on a GoPro, right?
So, part one, it's entirely shot on a GoPro except the very ending. The
Okay.
very ending. I don't know if you picked up on this.
When you zoomed in,
There you go. You did.
yeah,
Okay. Not
yeah.
everybody does.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I kind of thought everybody would get, wow, like things have changed now. But plenty of people didn't recognize that at all. So, but yeah, so the entire thing was shot on a GoPro, which was like, in some ways it was liberating, and in some ways it was a freaking nightmare.
I bet.
Yeah, it really was a pain. But now we've moved on. So in part two, no more GoPro.
Because I had this open discussion with my co-host and my wife. I said it's got to be a GoPro because he's staying basically stationary. It's got to be like right around here somewhere. And if it was like an actual camcorder or whatever, I don't think it would be as stationary because it had to be a GoPro on like a stick because it had to have been like about here. And you'd be holding it here, and then they're like, "No, it's got to be a real camcorder." So it was an open discussion
Oh, okay.
on how it was made, and now I can say I was right.
Well, we did the one thing though is we did alternate between a gimbal, like having it on a stick, and
Yeah.
then a chest mount.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, because sometimes I just really wanted to be able to have both my hands in there to do something, and we're like, well, we can only really do it with a chest mount. But the chest mount has been a nightmare. So we were basically in part two, like we tried to use it, and a couple shots you will see that we use one, but for the most part we had to get rid of it because it's just too. Now that we changed cameras, and it's not that just like super wide linear lens of the GoPro, like it starts to feel a little teeter-tottery. And so we're like, all right, we can't do this. So we've had to like reshoot some things that we tried early on. We're like, oh yeah, we'll just throw it on the chest mount. No, we were wrong. So it's been a learning process.
Because as soon as you zoomed in, I'm like, "There's no way that's a GoPro now."
No, that one we switched to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. So part two, and it's funny, like if anybody were to ever say anything to us about like the low quality camera, it's like we had nice cameras from the beginning, but it didn't make sense. Like
No.
this is a guy, he would just have a GoPro. Like this is a guy who is
What
not
killer shoots in 4K?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm just asking.
Exactly. So, but then in part two, like he's taking his art more seriously. He's learned from the process. And so it's, like I said, it's still going to be like, there's nothing in part two or part three when we get there that won't be shot by me. Because like, if we get a cinematographer in there and we get him to start like doing all these lights and using these complicated rigs, like that doesn't make any sense. Like it has to feel like this guy's really doing it. So
Yeah.
it sucks. It puts a lot of pressure on me. I do not consider myself to be a cinematographer, but it's how we've got to do it to tell the story right.
Yeah, and the rugged it looks, the better. Because, as I said, there's no killer out there going to document something in 4K. I'm just saying. That's just me. So,
Well, technically it's in 4K, but it doesn't look like it's in 4K. Like it doesn't look HD or anything. But like we did shoot it in 4K on the GoPro because that we had the GoPro that shoots up to 5.3K.
Yeah.
And we just were like, we'll just put it on 4K so that at least if we play it in theaters, it won't look terrible. You know?
Yeah.
And it did. It looked good. It looked good up on the big screen for sure.
I would pay to go see it on the big screen. Just saying.
Well, thank you, sir. We tried to, we really tried to like get it pushed out as much as we could. We wound up doing a 2-week run in St. Louis, and then the rest was just film festivals. So we're kind of hoping that when part two's done, and we're hoping it does better than part one, even like on the festival circuit and stuff. We're hoping that somebody will then be like, "Hey, let's like play a double feature of Looky-Loo and Looky-Loo Part 2 at the theaters at like Alamo Drafthouse or something." So
Shit.
fingers
Where do I
crossed
pay
for
my
us.
money? Where do I send my debit card at? So I've been meaning this. I've been saving this for you because my wife told me I had to tell you this. So we put the movie on, and what really messed with her is that a human being came to a hopscotch game and then partake in a hopscotch game. Really got her mad.
That is hysterical. You know what's funny? I don't think I recognized that that was even what that was until I was like done with it. You know what I mean? Because actually, there's a shot where like right before that, I think, where I'm filming this gigantic skeleton.
Yeah.
It's in my like right up the road. It's like a couple blocks over. These people just all year round have that thing out there. And so that's what I was going to film, and then I just turned and walked away, and there just happened to be that hopscotch game. So tell her I'm sorry. That would have been funny. That would be a funny little thing to have him like actually do it.
She was like, that would have showed that the killer had a heart a little bit.
A little bit.
Just that they're still human.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? She kind of has a point.
She does have a point, but here's the thing I will say to people. No, she totally has a point. But I will say, you don't know what he edited out. So, like, he could have done a hopscotch and then been like, oh, that's corny. And then he cuts that out. And instead you just get the walk. Like, you kind of have to, I think it, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it kind of, like, lends itself to, like, let people's imaginations run away with them. It's like, are there murders that you don't see? Like, what went wrong that he was embarrassed by? Is there footage of him like in the bathroom that he cut out? Like, what? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you basically have an open source movie that people can imagine whatever they want, and they can fill in the blanks wherever they wanted. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, "How do you know what he does in his spare time?" I said, "How do you know he just doesn't find like pick up basketball games and hopscotch in his free time?"
What'd she think about the cats?
She really dug that part.
Okay, yeah, because like, so I don't really like animals dying in movies in general. Like, it's hard for me.
Yeah.
It's gotten harder because my fiance like really can't handle it. So she's kind of rubbed off on me in that way. But honestly, like, it's just like it came naturally because we take care of our like little stray cats around the neighborhood, and like every single house we went to, they had a cat that we had to just like deal with.
Yeah.
And the cats aren't ever gonna like attack for you. Like, they're just gonna cat, you know? So we thought that was kind of a funny thing about this guy is like, we also thought maybe we could make people worry at first, like, oh God, is he gonna kill this animal? And then he doesn't, you know? Yep. We thought, and there's a scene on the Blu-ray, a deleted scene where it's this elderly couple and he doesn't hurt them. And so originally we thought it was a really, really creepy scene. Well, I think it is. But when we put it into the movie in the order that we had it, it kind of became anticlimactic. Like, he had already committed a murder, and then you spend 5 minutes with him. He like lounges in the old guy's like a recliner, and he like stands down the hallway while they're in the bedroom watching TV. Like, it's creepy.
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like, maybe this doesn't fit anymore. So I think that scene is a really good example of all the stuff that you don't get to see. Like, he does film other things. He has been a creep many other times, but he's kind of showing you the greatest hits and trying to craft a film.
Because I was the first thing I saw was, is he going to kill the cat or is he going to feed the cat? Because this was after the sandwich that fucked me up royally. So I'm like, if he's making sandwiches, is he going to feed that cat?
That's actually a really good point. We might have to steal that. We haven't fed a cat yet. Maybe we need to do that.
There you go. Because if this man's making a ham and cheese or a BLT, why not feed a cat?
You know what's funny? The footage, actually, the footage does exist. I don't think I included it on the Blu-ray. I probably should have. But it's this dumb little thing. I don't want to spoil anything. When one of the women, when I like attack her from behind and like take her down to a bed, her actual cat, jumped up on the bed and started meowing in our faces. It was like the only time I've ever seen a cat like pull a dog and be that defensive. It was so awesome.
Oh my God.
It was really great. It was so cute.
What if the cat started attacking you?
Yeah, that would have sucked. That would have sucked. Definitely could have happened. Maybe the ski mask would have helped a little bit, but
that's just wild. Because there was another scene that really stuck with me that I don't think anybody else has really done, was the chair scene at the end. The chair scene stuck in my mental for a few days, because it wasn't just the person on the chair. Mm-hmm. It was the bag, and then you played the home movies while you're torturing this person.
Yeah.
That's a flex. I'm
That's a
sorry.
flex. No, that's fair. When we were coming up with the first movie, we didn't know what the ending was. Like we knew parts of the ending, but we kind of couldn't figure out like how to make it more impactful or show that he is like growing and trying to really like tell a story. And also that he's hurt that this girl he's been obsessed with is now like she loves somebody else, right? He's like
Yeah.
breaking up with her. So we started to recognize near the end that maybe this movie kind of resembled Peeping Tom, and that's like the original slasher film. So I was like, okay, in Peeping Tom, he like holds up a mirror to people and then kills them with
Yep.
the camera tripod, right? So I'm like, well, what's today's equivalent of that? Like, what would he do? And that's where we came up with the idea of, for the first time in the movie, using two cameras, showing her the footage on the TV, so she has to like recognize, oh my God, this guy's been in my house. Like this is not his first experience with me, even though it's my first experience with him. You know?
Yeah.
So I think we did something pretty cool. It was hard.
That got me because my brain went left field at first. I'm like, so the camera's here on her. Is he just gonna walk up and just go chink and just be done? Because I was like, that would be wild. But the whole showing her of the footage that he shot was chef kiss to me, because that is some wild flex that I don't think I've seen in a movie before.
Thank you so much. Well, I got to give a shout out to Courtney Gray, because that's the actress there, and she was in Straight Edge Kegger too. She was just a tiny little role, but she was awesome to work with, and she let us put her through hell. We actually shot that scene 3 different nights, and so we put her through it repeatedly. Like when we got done with the first one, it looked pretty good. Like I mean, I think it was fine, but I was just like, man, we need to go extra like this. We need to really, in the one that you see now, she's got like snot and sweat, and she's just, her mascara is running. Like we really put her through it on that one, and she was just such a trooper. Actually, the only thing she was scared about was that her cat was getting upset, because she had to be like making those scared panic noises.
Yeah.
So our special effects girl Arissa, she would go in the other room and just hang out with the cat and like pet the cat while we were doing it.
That, like, the screaming and the movies, just this movie is what Final Destination 2 did to people with the log truck. Like, because now I'm looking at everybody when I go places. I'm looking around corners, and I think that's what you guys were trying to do, is trying to make people put their head on a swivel and to just basically just keep your eye on your environment, basically. And you guys hit a home run, like I said.
Thank you so much, man. It really does mean a lot. Like I wasn't sure how people would react, and so far the reaction has basically been what you just said. So that's awesome. We are just getting started. Excited to show you what we do in part 2.
So I ask everybody I interview this question. So you may have to think a little bit, because this is I love hearing people's responses. If I were to give you an unlimited budget, anything, and you could remake any movie you wanted, what would it be?
And it can't be like a franchise. Like it has to be like one.
It can be
movie.
anything. I've
Well,
heard Phantom of the Opera horror
Oh.
movie. I've heard a lot of people said Nightmare on Elm Street because of the second remake.
Yeah.
The first remake, I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So I hate to like burst your bubble. You're like the second or third person who's asked me this inside of like a month.
Boo.
But it's a great question. It's a great question still. So what I said in the last one was that I would like to take over the Scream series after part 4, after Wes Craven died, because I just think there's been a lot of missteps, and it's a franchise that I really care about. Not that I hated the other movies or anything. I just think they could have been handled a little bit better. So I'm gonna give you that as an answer, but then I'm trying to think right now about like one movie. Like if I could just remake one, what would it be?
To think it right.
It is. That's harder, honestly, to just think of one. I guess maybe dang. Well, what I'm thinking, what I want to say is Sleepaway Camp,
Oh,
because I love Sleepaway Camp 2 so much that I like want to. No, I know what I do. Does it have to be a remake or can it be a sequel?
it can be anything you want.
Okay, I would do a sequel to 2013's Evil Dead.
Oh,
That's what I would do
now we're cooking.
because I would love nothing more than for them to just like put out some scary little teaser and that's all they release and then you watch it and it's Evil Dead 2 done again. Like it's just super crazy comedic over the top. Like I think that would be the funnest project to be a part of. That's my
So,
answer.
so another question I ask people is,
Okay.
what was your first horror movie that got you into loving horror movies?
Oh man, that's tough. I guess probably Friday the 13th Part 6.
Yeah.
My buddy, who I'm not friends with anymore, I lost touch with him years ago, but he had this weird little video store across the street from his house, and it was like half like washer and dryer store, and then half video store. And yeah, and there was this time we would always go over there and rent videos, just run across the street, rent videos, go down to his basement, watch crappy movies, and play Nintendo 64.
Good
And
times.
and this time we went over there and they had this tiny little rack outside of things for sale. And so I got Friday the 13th Part 6 on VHS for $1 and I had never seen it and that movie is still one of my favorite horror films of all time. So I'd say that's probably the one. Like there's some others that hit me pretty young. Scream, The Faculty, Halloween H2O.
I thought I was the only one that loved The Faculty.
Oh no, I'm kind of stressing because they're remaking it,
Oh, yeah. I saw
and
that
I'm
the other
like,
day.
you motherfuckers, like you better not do it wrong, like, which I'm sure they will.
They will, because I remember when I was hyped for the remake of Elm Street, and they
Oh yeah,
just spit in my face over and over again.
I know, and I feel it sucks too because I really like that actor. I like Jackie Earle Haley or whatever. I think he's amazing,
Oh, yeah.
but that movie, ugh. I haven't watched it in a long time. Maybe I should give it another shot, but I just remember being really let down and hating all the VFX on the face and stuff. So, yeah.
I have actually just tried to show this to my wife because I showed her all the Elm Streets, and I showed her this, and she goes, "What the fuck was this?" I said, "That's exactly what I said in the theater after I watched this." She went, "Ew, you paid for this?"
Yeah, we expected greatness, you know?
Yeah, because come on, Robert Englund, and yeah,
I think that's part of the problem is like, how do you remake that without Robert Englund? And now he's of an age that, like, it's just not practical. But it's so hard. Like, you would have to strike gold with somebody who, like, even when I watch, like, the new It movies, like, I think they're pretty good, but, like, it's not Tim Curry. Like, it's never going to be that. So, or like Warwick Davis in Leprechaun, like, when you got somebody like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees and they don't speak, yeah, like you're probably going to be okay. But when you have somebody that we like know and love, it's really hard to do better than that.
yeah. I just ruined Leprechaun for my wife the other day.
Did you show her Leprechaun 4?
I showed her the first one, and then I told her who Leprechaun was because she's a huge Harry Potter fan.
Oh, okay.
And now she can't watch Harry Potter anymore because of me.
That's amazing. That's funny. No, I
And
just showed on St. Patrick's Day. I showed Shelby, my fiance, Leprechaun 4, and she was so miserably bored.
everybody was that day.
I like it. I mean, it's not good, but I like it.
It's because Leprechaun was. I think Leprechaun came out as a rebuttal to Chucky because
Yeah, that's
they're
fair.
still small entities that are just hacking people up, and I just don't think it could. Like Leprechaun 1 was like phenomenal, and it just felt like they hit their pinnacle at, like 2 or 3, and then just with sequels they just drop off.
Part
But
3 was like always my favorite when I was younger. It's
yes,
like equal parts like messed up and horror as well as comedy. Like there is something so funny about like his rhyming in the pawn shop and stuff.
yes,
Yeah, so good. So good.
But then we got, wasn't there like a leprechaun in space or some shit? And
Yeah,
then there
that's
was,
four.
that was
That's
four?
part four.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then five was, which one was Back to the Hood?
Well, Leprechaun in the Hood is the part 5, and then
Okay.
Back to the Hood is part 6. And yeah, those are not good.
No, they're not. And I don't know if you watch a lot of cable. Sci-Fi is the absolute biggest troll of a channel
Yeah.
because they're on a roll. They played the entire Leprechaun series for St. Patrick's Day. And then election day they played The Purge, Anarchy. Then they played the first one, and then they played the Hunger Games the rest of the day. I'm like, so they're just trolling people.
That's pretty funny.
And I'm like, Sci-Fi just became my favorite channel, just trolling people.
I used to watch sci-fi like crazy back in the day, and now not so much. Not so much. I didn't even know they were still doing movie marathons like that. So maybe I got to go back.
Because they've been trolling people recently, so you might want to give Sci-Fi a chance. But,
Okay. Okay. That's
but
good.
I live on Tubi, so sorry.
Yeah.
Because that's where I get all my horror movies from.
Yeah.
But do we have an update on 2 when we should be expecting Looky-Loo 2 or anything?
We're like 85% through with shooting, and we're editing as we go, and our sound designer is already working on the sound design. So we're gonna finish shooting in like late June, and fingers crossed, like we're hoping that we can put it out to film festivals in the fall. That's our hope. But like,
Nice.
but we're being careful with this one. Like we have a tendency to like put out a movie, and then as we go through the festival circuit we get feedback or like watch how it plays with an audience, and we'll edit things out. Like we're trying to put part 2 out the most solid, like we feel totally confident in what we're doing. We don't have any questions about like is this good enough, is this part, should we get rid of it, should we reshoot something, right
Yeah.
now we're like actually in the middle of reshoots on some stuff. So
Damn.
yeah, we only actually have like one arc of a character to shoot in June, and at the end of May what we're shooting is like a reshoot of stuff that we already got that's pretty good, but we had some like camera issues that were like, hey, if we have the opportunity, let's just make it awesome. So we're going back to redo some stuff.
Because you got my palette ready for a number 2 already. Because my co-host was like, ask him about number 2. Ask him about number 2.
I
'Cause I want
promise
more.
we're working on it. We're working hard. We just have so little money, and like I have to work a day job. We all do. So it's
Yeah.
like we got to just get in the shoots where we can. We're kind of like weekend warriors, like I'll take a Friday off work. We'll film Friday, Saturday, and then take somebody to the airport on Sunday. And so it's like if we had the money, the movie would already be done, but we got to do it this way.
Yeah, because adulting.
Because adulting, exactly. Yeah.
Fucking adulting. God
I got
damn
to
it.
afford this like VHS addiction and have a roof over my head.
But you got some classics in there. I see the top right is House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh yeah,
I do see that one.
I'm not a Rob Zombie guy, but I love that movie. I love House of Thousand Corpses so much.
I think he when he put that out, I think he set the bar, and
Yeah.
then everything just fell off.
Yeah, right. Like he does cool stuff in everything that he releases, but overall, it's always kind of a letdown for me.
I really didn't mind his Halloween though. I think
You
it showed a
know,
lot of like pre-serial killer Michael Myers for me because I like that, but nothing really hit for me as hard as when House of a Thousand Corpses came out.
yeah, I love House. I used to always put on the DVD when I was younger, just because they have that thing where it's like Captain Spaulding just like talking trash to the
Yeah,
camera. I would let that play all the way through. He's so charismatic, and I just thought it was cool. Like we've actually got a plan. It's not going to be the Looky-Loo killer talking to the audience, obviously, but we've got a plan for the part 2 Blu-ray where like it's a little more interactive. So every single page you're on will be new content that he shot, and you can only see if you have the Blu-ray.
again, where do I throw my money?
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Because
We need every penny we can scrounge to keep it going.
I just bought 2. I can't wait to buy 2 more of part 2.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, whenever you have free time, you're more than welcome to come back, and we'll be more than happy to promote part 2 for you. If you
Hell
want.
yeah. I know, yeah. We will definitely hit you up. And I know you've seen like the rough cut of the trailer, but as soon as the real trailer is done, You'll be getting an email.
Because if it's okay with you, we would love to review the trailer for people, but not tell anybody anything. Like,
Like, wait. Would you? But you wouldn't show the
I
trailer?
wouldn't show the trailer. I would just talk about it.
Yeah. As long as you don't, as long as you're not showing it, just
Yeah.
then we're open. We're totally fine with that.
Because we do a lot of trailer reviews. We did the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
We did another Amazon Prime, but we don't actively show anybody anything.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just because like we even like the version that I showed you already, it's like kind of like a template more than the actual trailer. We're still going to use the same song as the structure and stuff, but most of that sound is like not even real. It's just what our trailer editor just kind of threw on there.
What is that
temporarily.
song?
So actually, that song is called "Slow Hio Death." It's by a band. So that song actually plays. It's a band called Airline, by the way, but that song is in part one, but
Yeah.
it just kind of plays in the background. Like you
Yeah,
don't really,
it's been stuck in my head for a couple of days. I
it's a
didn't know what it
great.
was.
It's so catchy, and that's just a local guy. And he's friends with our sound designer. So I just that song kind of got stuck in my head like an earworm, you know.
Yeah, I watched it and like I was looking for something on the internet and that song popped in my head again. I'm like, the fuck is this? Where'd this come from?
It's really catchy. We think that trailer is really going to hit hard when we're all done with it. So
I can't wait because I showed up to my wife the other day. She goes, "When does this come out? I want more too." I'm like, time.
we're
It's
working on it.
time.
Patience.
Because
I'm not good with patience either. It like drives me insane.
no, because
But
I have PTSD from her because I showed her when her and I first got together. I showed her Saw. She's never seen Saw, and I showed her the first one. She goes, "Is there more?" I said, "Yeah, there's tons." So we got to the end right before Spiral came out because who cares about Spiral? And she was like, "Is there any more?" I'm like, "No, there's no more." She goes, "Well, you need to get them on the phone because I want more. I want to see more."
we actually just this last year went through the whole franchise because I had never watched. I mean, I had watched some of them, but I had never watched the whole franchise all the way through. So we did that this past year.
What'd you think?
It gets so silly. Like that one, I really like the one that has what is it? Is it Tyler Bennington? Is that his name from Linkin Park?
Chester Bennington from Linkin
Chester
Park,
Bennington. Sorry,
glued to the
people are going to be
seat.
so mad at me that I just said the name wrong. But yeah, I had never seen that one, and I know that a lot of people don't really like it, but I think it's like super fun. I really like that
I
movie.
love that film.
Yeah, I thought that one was great. So overall, I think it's a really fun franchise. It's just it does kind of get sillier for the most part as it goes.
Before I let you get out of here, what is the most overrated film you think?
Oh, don't ask me that.
I already got mine right off the top.
You do yours first, then.
I
I gotta be careful
I have
here.
I have two.
Okay. Are we going
For-
horror
Yeah.
overrated? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
First one for me would be Hereditary.
Oh, that's fair. I don't really like Hereditary either. I love Midsummer though. Like
I love Midsommar. My wife loves Midsommar.
I have like a little. I think it's fun. Everybody always says it differently, but I have like a little shrine up on our mantle over there. I got I got the VHS. I've got a little stone replica. I've got the incense burner from A24. Like, yeah, I love that movie, and I think Hereditary is a pass for me.
I don't know why it has such a huge following.
Well, to be fair, it has incredible acting in it. So like,
It does.
you know what I mean? There's some stuff in there where I'm like, gosh, I should love this movie, but I've never.
But the
been into
story for me is what destroyed it.
it. Yeah, I'm not a fan either. So that's fair. That's a fair response. What's
And
the other one?
The Others.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've even seen that. I've seen it, but
It was on HBO the other night. I still can't mess with that film.
okay.
So come on.
Well, I'm not going to say anything that's at all indie related. I think that would be a bad plan. You know what I really hate? I hate the remake of Friday the 13th from like 2009 or whatever that
Where
is.
he runs all of a sudden?
I hate that movie. Like, I don't understand how anybody can even sit through that piece of shit. And for some reason, like my fiance likes that one a lot. And like, luckily our top three are like 4, 5, and 6, not in that order, but like, so we agree on that. But she likes that remake, and I'm miserably bored every time it's on.
So what you need to do is ask her these two questions because I asked my wife these two questions too because she liked that film too. I said, when did Jason run in the originals, and how the fuck did he learn how to shoot a bow and arrow?
Yeah, right.
I'm
I
just
honestly, I think the bigger thing for me is I hate that guy, the longer haired guy that's from
yes.
Supernatural. He is such like a nothing burger for me. Like I'm so bored every time he's on screen that I just can't
And
handle
he
it.
was like the stoner, like jokester for like no reason. And now that you
No,
said
not
nothing
that's
burger,
not him, right?
it is.
I thought no, in that movie he's the
Oh, are you talking about the other one, the main character, or
yeah, the guy who's like looking for his sister or whatever.
I know. That's
I
Mister.
hate that guy.
Oh man,
I hate
what
that
is
guy.
he's in that show everybody likes on CW.
Supernatural, right?
Yeah, fuck that
Yeah, yeah,
show.
yeah. And I never watched Supernatural either, so maybe that's why I'm not
No,
into him.
I
But I
I
don't like
tried.
that guy.
Fuck that show and fuck that guy. How about that? And now that you said nothing burger, I'm taking nothing burger from you.
Yeah, that probably that's a good response I think for me. I'm trying. I'm sure there's other stuff. I'm like looking up at my shelves, but like most of the stuff I have on my shelves I like, so it's probably a bad place to look.
Yeah, cause if you were looking at your shelves, what bad movies have you bought?
Oh, I bought plenty of bad movies. I mean, I really like the shot on video horror stuff. Like I got things right here, Slash Dance, Rocktober Blood. Like I like a good bad movie. I teach a bad films class at Purdue. So like I like showing people Troll 2 and like Tammy and the T-Rex and stuff.
Troll 2?
Love Troll 2, man. But sometimes there's a movie it's so bad it's just bad. Like
Oh yeah.
it's not fun at all, you know.
Since you brought up Bad, I showed my wife. I don't know if you've ever seen this film. It's what is it? Last Action Hero.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's a wild one.
She goes, "Why?
Yeah.
just why?" I'm like, he's basically making fun of himself the entire film, and she's like, "But why?"
Have you
I'm like,
watched Sorry, we're like just totally just gabbing about movies now, but have you watched Tammy and the T-Rex?
"Yes."
Okay, good. I love Tammy and the T-Rex so much. Like that's not a movie from my childhood that somehow missed me until they did like the Blu-ray, the gore re-release and whatever. But now I'm like obsessed with it. I love that movie.
It's sometimes bad movies are good though.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'd rather watch The Room any day of the week than the remake of Friday the 13th.
I'm
Full
I'm
stop.
to advertise this episode. I'm gonna say better than the Friday the 13th remake.
Perfect.
That's
Perfect.
all I need.
Yeah.
Jason, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, man. I appreciate the time.
It's been awesome, Justin. Thank you so much for having me on. I'd be back anytime.
Dude, you're more than welcome. I'd be more than happy to have you on when part 2 comes out so we can do this again, man.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks a lot, man.